Today we have a legend in the house, my brother, Mike Vick.
You can't turn your back on number 7.
He's playing the fastest, scariest guys in the world, and he makes them look like they're standing still.
Week in and week out, he's worth the ticket price.
My man, my man.
My mom always showed strength. I see them smiling, I'm happy. But deep down, I knew that see other people's cars. It could be family members living in a house that look different than yours. As I grew older, I want this. Oh, that's the path to that. That's the lane to that.
You spoke things into existence, and what your current situation was not going to determine your tomorrow and your legacy.
A former #1 draft pick losing a $120 million contract over dogfight.
You addressed the public for the first time, and you stated these words.
First, I want to apologize for all the things that I've done. I will redeem myself.
Do you feel that you have redeemed yourself?
I wish I was more mature and felt different about it. I wish the day I got drafted, I was like, okay, I can't do no stupid shit. Being young, being mature, not leaving the hood or leaving those things where you found. You get tore down, you gotta build yourself back up. Some people can't relate to that because you gotta go through certain things, but I'm here to see it.
Let's talk about the moment you realized your story could become a tool for change. It's time for something that's just for us. It's time to unlock something new. I'm your host, Melvin Rodriguez, and you're tuned in to The Blessed Code. Welcome back to another episode of The Blessed Code. Fellas, I'm your host, Melvin Rodriguez, and today we're talking about the redemption code and how we can give ourselves the opportunity to shed who we once were to become everything we were destined to be. Today we have a legend in the house, someone who not only changed the game, but redefined what was possible. Our guest is none other than my brother, Mike Vick. My man, my man. Appreciate you, bro, appreciate you. A name that resonates with greatness, resilience, and a revolution. He made history as the first black quarterback to be selected as the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, shattering ceilings and opening doors for generations to come. A true superstar, Vick electrified the league with his unparalleled speed, arm strength, and an unshakable confidence that made him one of the most dynamic quarterbacks the game has ever seen. But beyond the highlights, beyond the jaw-dropping plays, Vick's journey is one that every single one of us need to pay attention to. How he overcame the obstacles, the odds that were against him, and how he rose again, and inspiring the next generation to chase greatness. Mike, you are widely regarded as one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in NFL history. I think about in your elite tenure in the league and seeing your perseverance, your resilience, your confidence, your ability to execute plays, improvise on the fly, and dominate both as a passer and a runner, which sets you apart. However, despite all of your achievements, some people focus solely on one chapter of your career that was far less flattering. Brother Mike, in your own mind, how do you balance the incredible moments of your life with the incident that impacted your legacy?
Good and the bad, I feel like in my life it's been way more good than bad. Just like anybody, you make mistakes, you got to come back from it, got to learn from it. But I try to teach off the positives. I try to focus on the positive. I think that's what's most important. So just attitude is everything, you know what I mean? And we all gonna go through things in life, but it's just how you keep going from it. That's how I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's the idea of it's not where you are or what you did, but more importantly, where you're going.
I definitely always try to think big. I always feel like it's gonna be some situations in your life that's gonna make you look at life different. Some days you're gonna wake up not liking the situation that you're in, but I think that's when you gotta fight. You know what I mean? I think that's when, the true resilience really comes to light. I feel a lot of responsibility for a lot of people, especially my kids, my family, and so I always want to pay it forward to them. You know what I mean?
You know, and that's interesting because you think about the requirement or the prerequisites that you had to then comply with. Take us back in terms of how you were able to control your narrative.
You know, I always felt like I was in control of my destiny. You look around where you grow up, your environment, where you come from, and everybody has their own individual path. You might not talk about it, but you know, you hear guys shouting things out. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a, a fireman. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a football player. And so whatever it took to become a football player, I was like, I'm gonna follow that path. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find ways to channel, that part of my life and be direct and know these are the steps you got to take in order to get there. Because I had a younger brother too, so I was always trying to influence him.
So at that point, you understood that there was a certain level of confidence and trust that you had to have within yourself in order for you to overcome those obstacles. And speaking around trust, how did you rebuild trust with yourself and others?
Well, I believe in myself, one. My mom, she's a very, faith-based woman, and she always make me believe, even when I don't. She'll speak it, to happen. It's happened too many times before to where I gotta believe in myself. If she tell me you can do something, like she give me the confidence to do it ever since I was a kid. And so even though my dreams and goals was far-fetched from anybody's dreams, I mean, all my boys who I'm still close with today, we all aspired and dreamt big and wanted to make it. And so we just believed that, we just kept pushing that narrative, and we was always pushing each other.
That is so profound, Brother Mike, and I want those of you that are tuning in, listening, you all saw what Mike said repeatedly: believe. I believe in me. I believe in me. I trust in me. God has equipped me. He has qualified me to tap into whatever it is He has ordained for me. If God be for you, what shall be against you? There is no weapon that may form against you in your life ever that shall prosper. Believing in ourselves is key. Switching gears a bit, and back in August of 07, you addressed the public for the first time regarding your situation at a press conference, and with your attorney at the time, Billy Martin. And you stated these words: first, I want to apologize, for all the things that I've done and that I've allowed to happen. Once again, I offer my deepest apologies. I will redeem myself because I have to. I want to touch on that because at that time, what you did and what you had not realized you did, you spoke things into existence, and you believed in yourself, in that what your current situation was not going to determine your tomorrow and your legacy. And you spoke redemption back in 07. Now, looking back, do you feel that you have redeemed yourself?
Yeah, I do. Redemption comes in all types of forms, depending on how you look at it. My form of redemption was to set out to do things that was going to try to make amends the best way I could, and also self-correct. And I knew once I self-corrected myself, I would be able to, like a boxer, step back into the ring again and be able to box with confidence. I use that as a reference because sometimes, you might not have your best performance, so you might make some mistakes, and it might not be crystal clear to you, and then you get knocked down. A mistake is only a mistake if it happens twice. And so I knew if I can avoid any more mistakes, even though mine was a big one, then, future's bright. You just got to work a little harder, and be more dedicated and disciplined.
That is awesome. And as you think about, many may say, my deepest pain, my darkest moments, how did you find a way to maintain hope and push forward
in those circumstances?
In those circumstances.
Yeah, I thought about my family. I went to a place where people don't normally go. Like 80% of the people in the world don't go, so I'm experiencing something different in life. So when I'm in that moment, I gotta rehabilitate myself and at the same time stay strong. Keep believing. And so, it was the people in the outside world, my wife, my kids,
Mm-hmm.
My mom, sisters, my brother, who, like, if they was in this situation, what would I want them to do? I want them to fight, get up every day, even though you might cry in the morning, you know what I'm saying, you smiling at night. And so I wanted that to be like, you know, I had my days, you know, I had my days where I won't feeling too well. And that was normal, that was perfectly legal. Like, I had my days, but in those days, I was able to, you know what I'm saying, just build myself back up. Cause you know, you get tore down, you gotta build yourself back up. Some people can't relate to that cause you gotta go through certain things, but I'm here to say it. You know? And some people, it's just small, different scales. Some people go scale of 1 to 10. Some people scale like 3 to 4, trauma. Mine might have been 7 to 8, some different.
I mean, what I do take away from that is that you remained selfless. You thought of others and how your actions may have impacted others, and you understood that you were going to have the opportunity to redeem yourself in that, and to continue to make your family and communities proud of you.
For sure. Felt that obligation, felt that responsibility, and knew that in order to execute these things, like, you gotta wanna do it. Also have a team around you who, like-minded people who understand what your vision is moving forward. Like, you know, sometimes that comes with just changing the circle, just, you know, musical chairs, just pulling some pieces in, getting rid of some pieces. But, you know, you grow as a man, you grow as an individual, you know, and you start seeing, this is a little more important than that, and this is a little more important than this. I'm glad God blessed me with that. But like I say, I have my days, and it probably stemmed from, you know, lining up behind the center on 3rd and 10, and, you know, finding out a lot about myself in that moment and what I come away with. So, just adversity, you know, just, I feel like, you know, it just makes you stronger. I try to avoid it though. But it's hard to avoid, you know?
It's hard to avoid what's destined, because the things that, what I've learned, what God has ultimately put us in position to do, oftentimes we do things according to our plan and what we think and our desires and our wants, and it's, okay, you've done this, you were successful at this. I need to humble you. I need you to sit still so that you will listen, because there are even more greater things that I need through you for my children. And oftentimes it's hard to get to that space of clarity to receive, because of the obstacles, because of the company we associate with, right? We're not sharpening one another. We're not building. Simply this, fellas, it's the mindset of knowing that if it does not allow me to evolve, then I can't be involved. But I continue to involve myself in these circumstances, and ultimately it does not become pleasing to God. And so at some point, you know how many say life be life, and these things are happening, it's because you continue to do it your way.
Yep.
And we struggle with that as men, right?
Yeah, we do.
We struggle with it because it ties into the spirit of temptation.
Yep, I struggle with it a lot. It's funny, my wife, my mom, they like see through me. They can see what's bothering me. They can see what route I need to go in. They know when I'm confused. They know when I'm confident.
Wow.
And so my mom always been that way. It's kind of scary I met somebody else in my life who was that way. I've always looked at life as, you need a support cast, a strong support cast, and sometimes, man, look, I ain't had the answers, whether it's in sports or whether it's in life. And, you know, sometimes you get it, it's right there in front of you. I think just as men, we just have to pay more attention. We go through so many things on a daily basis where we just challenged all the time. Business, friendships, little stuff. You just always feeling challenged. And so we carry that sometimes.
Right.
And in carrying that, you carry ego. And yeah, well, I just did this, I just closed this deal, and so you forget about the things that's really important.
Right, and that's
why I like what you're saying about just like always giving back, always thinking about, you know, pulling somebody up, bringing back somebody.
No, and that's ultimately what is missing with us, right? As we think about one's accomplishments or success they may have earned, right? So we're climbing this ladder, but we don't keep that ladder lowered for those of us who are watching us, who are inspired by us, for them to climb this journey along with us. And I want to encourage you all, fellas, keep that ladder lowered because our kids are watching you. Our kids need you. We need you, right? As Mike just talked about, the challenges that we face. We know very well what we're thinking about. We know very well what we're dealing with. And we continue to keep that weight over us when, quite frankly, we've been blessed to sharpen one another and to share some of the challenges in its most vulnerable form. For I believe that you can't heal what you don't reveal. I believe that your vulnerability or your transparency in sharing with the brethren becomes the path to your victory. And so as you win, we all win, but we continue to live this life of our own. We continue to tap into our own inner egos, which continues to keep us non-progressing, right? And quite frankly, moving backwards. Unique question I want to ask you. And I think many of us struggle with this. So there's a saying that where one's success reaches extraordinary milestones, persecution is to follow. And this is in scripture. And as you think about the greatness, the stardom that you were able to rise to, at the same time, you were conforming back to the things that you always knew growing up in the inner city and how it became a clash. Talk to me about, not just for me, but just for our listeners and viewers, how do you channel that? And then tap into what caused you to revert back to what was while you were at such of a pinnacle status of success? How did you endure those things?
I mean, at the time, just immaturity. Like, being hard-headed, believing that, everything that you say goes, or anything that you do, can go unnoticed. And that's just not the truth. That's just not the way it is. When you get to that level, now you got people who starting to pull at you from all levels.
So, but you were thinking that you were doing things in the darkness and you didn't see that being shine. You
just don't, when you got a lot of money, you ain't worried about.
Right.
I ain't saying because of the money, I just wasn't worried about getting caught doing anything. I wasn't tripping on that. I was like, everybody just full steam ahead. But then when I turned the corner, it was too late. When I finally realized, this ain't what I want to do. This ain't, no accolades. My accolades come on the field, come in other places. Like, when I started turning the corner, it was just too late. I wish when I was 27, the way I was thinking, I wish I would have thought that way when I was 22. And I wish I'd have picked up golf a little earlier.
Right.
Because for real, like, that would have been the hobby.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd have been shooting in the 70s.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like that would have been a good flow, good mix. And what I learned through golf and what I learned through, those type of settings is that, you mature, you learn people, you get to know people, and it's just a really good outlet. And so I wish God would have put that in front of me sooner, but I probably was one of the ones that had to learn a different way.
Mm-hmm. And would you say it was a certain level of a manly or masculine ego that, you're great, you're the
No,
super,
that had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Just being, like I say, being young, being mature, just not leaving the hood or leaving those things where you found them.
Right.
Bringing it with you, thinking it was cool, thinking it was. So it wasn't none of that. It wasn't.
Or let me say,
because I was on a certain level. I wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I wish I was more mature and felt different about it.
Right.
I wish the day I got drafted, I was like, okay, I can't do no stupid shit.
Right.
Honestly, for real.
Right. But then would you say there may have been a sense of call it, brotherly love or call it hood peer pressure?
Nah. Every decision that I made. There wasn't nobody else influencing me. Now influence comes in different forms. I could have been like, yeah, I think we should do this. Yeah, let's do that. Might have been some agreements. That's about it. But it wasn't disagreements neither. That don't make sense. Shouldn't we be doing something different? That didn't come to years later. Those conversations started being had. And I think we was all starting to realize, like, yo, what are we doing? But it was too late. It was coming to a head. It was just too late.
And it was just too late.
Yeah, it was just too late.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because it's almost that we've made a decision, and as you talked about immaturity, and you think about what at that time in your life was your surrounding, and what was your level of exposure at that time that tapped into your immaturity at that time that ultimately caused you to make certain decisions, right? So as you think about it, we understand that in our communities, we can't be what we don't see. This is what I'm around. This is what I see. I may hear certain things, but just,
But remember I told you in the beginning I wanted to be a professional football player with no distractions or no setbacks. I avoided those distractions and setbacks for a long time. And then as soon as I got to where I needed to
And then
go,
you
like I
got
said, I
there.
just wish there was like no more distractions and setbacks.
Isn't
And
that
then your
something?
mindset becomes that. You know what I'm saying? Like my mindset now, well, you can't ask me to do nothing crazy now. Or even 10 years ago, once I got released, once I moved on in life.
Isn't that something?
Once I got the right mentors and right people in my life, you couldn't get me to agree to do nothing that was going to potentially harm myself, my family, or anything that I was working hard towards.
Wow, that's powerful. And again, it's when we get to that place, that high place of greatness, and for prior to our position of success, and as you think about what you desire as a youngster and what you spoke and what you dream bigger. You were dreaming outside of your circumstances, and then once you reach that level, this happened, and it's like, this isn't honestly what I wanted for myself, but I own up to it. I made the decision. I own the decision, own up to it, and I'm gonna accept what's to come.
I had no choice.
With these decisions.
I had no choice.
Right.
You're living it.
And but you owning up to what was had put you in position to your path of redemption.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's powerful.
Set new goals.
One question, just to switch gears real quick. Obviously, there's been significant amount of discussion about how NFL players, particularly players of color, like Ray Lewis, Colin Kaepernick, Ray Rice, they've been treated in the wake of controversy. Mike, do you believe the court of public opinion in the NFL were fair to you compared to other standout players who faced adversity?
I think based on our circumstances, yeah, I would say it was fair. Everybody's situation different. I don't know the parameters of anybody else's situation other than mine. And so I know there was opportunities for me to be rehabilitated before I even had to go into any of those situations. It just was immature and still doing crazy stuff, man. Just so I can't speak to nobody else, but I do think, throughout it all, I was treated fair.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's the idea of taking ownership for yourself. And the only way you're able to take ownership with yourself is the belief and trust that you have within you.
Yeah, for sure.
My brothers, greater that he has within you, what he has equipped you with, then greater he is with the entire world. There is a gift, there is something in you that you just won't trust within you. Because as Mike talked about, even though he faced adversity, right? But the belief, the trust that he had within himself allowed him to own his decisions, whether it was the good, the bad, the ugly, but he believed in himself. He took ownership, which has allowed him to remain steadfast, resilient, and knowing that his best is still yet to come. I want to switch gears and just touch on what I like to call personal codes. Let's talk about the moment you realized your story could become a tool for change.
I feel like I had to create the story. The story is very unorthodox. It wasn't like, you don't create these type of situations. I'm just kind of like living it. And I got a platform to display it. It's viewed by the public as a success story. But guess what comes within that success story? More success you gotta obtain. Now you're under the microscope. Now everybody's watching, which I'm used to. It's just in a different form now. It mounts the pressure. God continues to put things in front of me that allow me to progress, move forward, think different, and understand the responsibilities at hand. So I just try to live in the moment now, man, and not create the extra pressure for myself unless I take a coaching job and know that I got to go coach kids to be great.
But you know, it's the idea to where you are a living legend. You are a Virginia-based born child that was created to do some extraordinary things that have inspired not just the hood in America, but the world.
I hope so.
Just from your elite talent, your resilience, your confidence. And when you think about where you were to where you had endured, and knowing that your story could be so impactful to the youth, because quite frankly, as we talk about past as prologue and things that you experienced as it relates to survival, that we all experience as it relates to survival, as we all experience suffering in silence, seeing our parents and grandparents and so on and so forth suffer and struggle in poverty. And we understand that so many, right, still experience things to this day, but when they see you, they know of your story and the impact now that you have over them. How does that make you feel in a sense of responsibility?
Well, my mom and my aunts and my grandmother, they never showed me suffering. If they did, I probably knew, but I was too young to, I knew when we had no money. I knew when the refrigerator was empty. But as a kid, you run around, you don't really think, you just think we ain't got no food.
Right, it was normal. It was normal not to have food.
Fast forward 20 years later, and you open the refrigerator and no food in there, I'm like, yo, somebody gotta get a job around here. And if I could have, man, when I was a young kid, man, when I seen the circumstances that my mom was in, Dad might have been laid off, yo, I would have went, I used to bag groceries, dude. Put change in my pocket, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then my boys go up to the local grocery store. And so my mom always showed strength, my grandmothers, like it was all good. I see them smiling, I'm happy. But, you know, deep down, I knew that, you know, you see other people's cars and you see other people's situation. It could be family members living in a house that look different than yours. And as I grew older and got 14, 15 years old, I was like, yo, I want this. Oh, that's a path to that. That's the lane to that.
Just speaking on, obviously, part of your journey, and I believe that preparation is the keys to success. And so how would you say that over your tenure, your journey, and where you were, how would you say that it prepared you for the role in what you do today?
Accepting a job at Norfolk State, working at Fox for 8 years, maturity. I don't think you get to those positions or those roles unless people look at you and see that, that he's ready for it. And even when you get put in those positions, you're still being monitored. Man, that's what I had to learn. You still are being monitored by the higher ups, and that's fair. I think that's cool because that keeps you steady, keeps you level-headed, keeps you on your toes. That's what you want. Always being on your best behavior, always respecting people in the workplace, and treating everybody fairly. I think that takes you a long way.
Which ties into your ethos code. Mike, you've made a remarkable comeback, not just as a sports analyst, but also as the head coach of Norfolk State University. What drives you today? What motivates you to keep pushing forward? You went back to where you're from, your upbringing, and now you're the head coach. So just think about this. Head coach of Norfolk University.
Like I say, in maturity and going through everything I've been through, I think multiple people probably got together and said, he can handle it. We trust him. We believe in him.
Hold on a second. That is so powerful because your name has been mentioned in rooms that you aren't even in. Belief in yourself, dreaming bigger, and the idea that God will bless you exceedingly, abundantly above what you can ever imagine or think. Your name is a great name. And now you are in position to be of a blessing to these athletes at Norfolk.
Yep.
That's extraordinary. But pushing forward, how are you doing that?
Just pushing forward. Every day it's a new challenge. Got good coaches and good people around me. And we just all learning together and we just flowing, man. Like, the young men appreciate us putting in the work and us showing the leadership. That's taking everybody a long way. And so I'm proud of that. And we just got to keep it going. Every day is a new challenge every year, and ultimately we got to get to September.
Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Because now, as a university, and I keep saying this because it's almost like when I'm a youngster and I'm dreaming to be this elite NFL player. I'm dreaming to be this. And at that time, you very well may have not been dreaming to be a head coach then, right? And so now, God has put you in position of leadership as a head coach at the university. And your role goes beyond developing skilled athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
You're also shaping young men.
Yeah.
And with that being said, how much of your personal code and life experiences do you share with your players and the students you now will be mentoring?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think it's just gonna come out naturally. They're gonna all have questions. They all gonna want answers. You know, if I don't have it, then I've got a group of coaches around that can give them the answers that they deserve and they need. And if not, try to be as accurate as we can be. I think that's most important. Another extension of my family, these young men, and I'm excited to work with them, excited to watch them grow more than anything. Like, that's where my excitement gonna come from, watching them become better men. You know what I'm saying? Probably than football players.
That's extraordinary. And that's what really ties into your life journey, your story, because these young men now that are inspired by you, they begin to what? The Bible says that one shall overcome by one's testimony. And you beat the test, ultimately became your testimony. Your testimony now becomes a enabler and inspirational component for these young athletes.
So.
And now when they see you and they keep seeing you and hearing from you, it does something extraordinary for them. And as we dive into just manhood, or we'll call it toxic masculinity, one of the most debated and sometimes completely overlooked topics in our communities is toxic masculinity. Many people believe it stems from men being conditioned not to show vulnerability. In your experience, Mike, what do you see as the biggest struggle for men, and I'll say Black men, when it comes to vulnerability, and what are some misconceptions?
I don't know, man. Everybody's situation is just so different. What makes you vulnerable might not make me vulnerable or uncomfortable, might vice versa. I just feel like we all gotta tap into our inner self, like you said. You gotta, who am I? Who do I wanna be? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know your flaws, you know your strong points, strengths, and weaknesses, and I think you just gotta, really tap into that. I just know sometimes, like, we tear each other down, put each other on platforms, talk bad, say things, people don't like it, but you just doing the job, or you just might be just pouring out a little bit. But so everybody's vulnerable in their own right, and that's so fair that you can take things the way you want to take it. And I just kind of leave it at that. And that's why I just, like, if I meet somebody, try to start off like, the relationship starts with respect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That energy. And then try to reciprocate it and just, like, see how I grow.
Right. No, and that's right, because we all have our own, inner thoughts and ways and how we live our lives. But ultimately, we do as men, we have some shared commonalities in terms of challenges and things that we deal with as men, right? As men, we're the head, not the tail. We're the protectors. We're the ones that are ultimately or historically told and trained to provide. We're the ones, Mike, what you crying for? You need to wipe them tears and get to it. We're the ones that listen.
Don't nobody see me cry.
Right.
A couple people see me
cry.
Right.
We gotta.
Only a couple people see me cry.
But it's that toughness. It's that you gotta. It's that those things that we channel, and it's oftentimes it becomes additional added weight. So I started out with a 10-pound piece of weight on my shoulder. Now it grew from 10 to 20 to 40 to 50. Now it's 100 pounds. And this weight that I'm carrying. And I'm saying, brother, we don't have to carry this weight. Like, I get it. Look.
Some guys do.
That's the point.
It's not easy for everybody.
Right.
And everybody's situations and circumstances are different, which force them to look at things a certain way. In a perfect world, it'd be easy for guys to encourage, hey, man, I know your situation, I know you down, man. Just try to do better tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Looking like around like, what tomorrow?
Right. Yeah.
I
But you
got
know,
this, I
it's
got that, and so, well, I just learned that you can't help change the world.
right.
If you can tap into a fraction of people who can extend their arms toward another fraction of people who, now you spread the message, you spread the word. So I think, we as men look at certain situations like, man, there ain't no hope, ain't no
Right.
help,
Right.
give up, start
Right.
doing crazy stuff.
No, you're right. And it's
It's
really
sad, but
it's sad and
it's up to us to try to change that narrative. for
right,
sure.
and as best we can. And I like to call it, how do I just do my part and
Right.
do the best I can,
That's all you can do.
because understanding that I can't be everything to everyone. I can bring them to the mountain. Here's the fountain, but I understand that I can't make you brother drink this. Like you gotta want it. It's the same thing. If I was a struggling addict, right? I'm dealing with this disease. And that's
hard to
my loved
overcome.
one.
Yeah.
I gotta want to do something different, right? And so it's an interesting, conversation, but the realities are, like you said, everyone has their own perspectives and views in the life that they're living. And I hear what you're saying, but in the day, I'm gonna keep living how I've been
You know
living.
what you gotta do.
But the reality is that if we keep doing what we're doing, right, and expecting different results, we understand those are the laws of insanity, But again, decision making. So if these are the decisions that we continue to, live upon, then we have to, own up to whatever that is. So, Brother Mike, let me ask you, did your journey with public forgiveness change the way you forgive others?
No, because I feel like circumstances where I gotta forgive people, I gotta make the determination right then and there. Was it severe? Was it something that, we can come back from? I felt like, even though the public felt different, which is fair. In certain situations I was treated fair. Now throughout it all, no. Could do a documentary on it. But I had to live through that. But I was in a place where you don't get treated fair in prison. Can't get mad at their, rules and regulations. Even though you don't like it, you might think it's like egregious or something like that. But hey, man, it's a system. My forgiveness, and I always try to think like, second chance.
Right.
Give him a second chance. I say that a lot. Give him a second chance. Oh, he's a player. He ain't make it over there. Bring him to me. I give him a second chance, and that's what I believe in. So I don't judge.
Right. Ultimately, that's extraordinary. Before we typically close on the show, I like to end the show and ask you a code that you, Mike Vick, live by daily. And what are the key principles that make up your personal blessed code?
Anytime anybody asks me to share something of significance where I feel like it just applies to my life, so many cliches, so many sayings, and just, Arthur Blank always told me in life, like, man, you are what you eat, meaning the people you're around, it's gonna be a reflection of you. And I just try to surround myself with the people who I feel like gonna be a reflection of me. You get scrutinized, or you get, people look at you and they'll judge. If you got a crew of people around you that look a certain way, it's too many people, or they don't trust, it's trust. And so I don't try to live my life like that. Thank God I'm older, and I just put people around me that I trust, and I feel more comfortable that way. Always felt comfortable, but man, you just surround yourself with like-minded people, man. You are what you eat.
That's
You are
amazing.
what you eat.
Brother Mike, I want to say, man, first of all, I am genuinely, and I appreciate you joining the show.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me.
Because I truly want to see us win, our kids win, our communities win, and I want them to really tap in to relatable, tangible stories so that they can receive and apply in their everyday lives. But more importantly, I want to say, man, I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man.
I am
Appreciate
proud
it, bro.
of you.
Likewise.
I come to know you, become great friends, and I know your heart. I see it. I just want to encourage you, man, that the best is yet to come for you.
I hope so.
That your road ahead is promising, because the yesterday you is not the current you. And
I'm gonna change tomorrow.
the future self is relying on you.
Yeah.
And your kids, your wife, your family, are relying on you, and generations to come are. So I salute you for
Appreciate you, bro.
stepping up, allowing God to be God and work through you to be a blessing to others. And with that said, bro, I think we did it. I think we unlocked the blessing to the redemption code.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Yep. Always. Likewise. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining this episode of The Blessed Code. Living by His code is a journey full of grace, growth, and opportunities to bless others. If today's episode spoke to you, please share this powerful message and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social to stay grounded, grateful, and blessed. Until next time, keep your faith strong, your heart open, and live life you're destined for. I'm your host, Melvin Rodriguez, and you just unlocked another blessed code.